by the fact that, you know, we have grown into them. Also, the fact that I will look at, okay, I'm particularly fond of these. I didn't buy, well, let's see, this was too expensive. Also, this is not very comfortable only because your head sort of leans forward a little bit. The Swan chairs are more, I find, more comfortable than the egg. You will look through an issue of interior design, and you'll flip through all the ads and you'll see all the new seating. A great deal of what you see will hark back to this, will hark back to what the Eameses did, will hark back to design that started at mid-century. And not that I'm saying that people are copying, but I am saying that you have to appreciate how innovative these designs are when you look at what's being designed now and you realize people haven't been able to go much beyond that. There's only so much you can do to change a chair. There are very few of these made. It was very complicated to make. It's sort of comfortable, but most of these you'll see only in museums, because the technology for bending these many elements in these many directions is very costly. Nana Ditzel designed, she only died about 10 years ago. This was her most recent design, which was using technology that was used for airplane bodies, molding plywood that way. She designed the high chairs when she had twins and there wasn't anything attractive on the market in children's furniture. Werner Panton was the radical Dane who I parallel to Eero Aarnio, the radical Finn, because he designed this environment and this one for a trade show display for a textile manufacturer. He designed fabrics like this and a lot of lighting fixtures, but what you will recognize, which you can't really see in this image, is this chair, which, as you see, couldn't be made when he designed it. And you compare it to the chair that Eero Saarinen did, the pedestal chair where the base has the aluminum. This is a cantilever chair. So there was no way to have a separate base. It had to wait until the molding technology was able to form this so that it was strong enough to sit on. And it's been made, you know, since 1967. These are two of Panton. These are made in real rugs. Very distinctive. He used a lot of circles and interlocking circles in his motifs. Paul Kierholm was a designer a little bit later, and I'm showing you his design because Knoll Furniture brought it in. Kierholm designed in a similar aesthetic to what the Bauhaus designers were doing. And when it was brought into America, this design brought in the 80s, Knoll was not very successful with them because we already had Breuer furniture and Mies furniture, and there wasn't that much interest in another steel and glass, or he had his coffee table. Well, he had steel and marble. Now, his furniture, thanks to a deal the Danish consulate made with the Museum of Modern Art, is all the pieces of furniture that you see in the museum galleries are Kierholm. The low tables and benches. You might recognize this, different versions of this slab, the upper left, which was introduced in 1925 at the exposition in Paris. This was a very clever way of shading the light so that it was diffused. Instead of being diffused through a large filter or one frosted globe, it came through these little, like the leaves of an artichoke, and it radiated out. Just so else, you know what else Denmark was known for before it was known for the furniture, Royal Copenhagen porcelain. I'm showing you their oldest pattern, and they also fostered design by craftsmen such as Axel Salto, who designed for Royal Copenhagen and also had a studio. These are not Royal Copenhagen. These are his craft pieces that were made in a separate studio, I mean, not dinnerware. And George, I didn't put the George Jensen name, but George Jensen silver is what we do with Danish silver. And it started with George Jensen, whose own designs were in the Art Nouveau style. Henning Koppel is one of the later designers in the 40s and 50s who did, as you see, very modern pieces. This is the kind of look that the Scandinavian modern interior would come out as. This was someone's house. I was in this house about 10 years ago, and it still looked like this. But furniture has to be recovered. What I'm showing you is it's a very unpretentious look. It's very comfortable. It's very natural colors and natural materials. Okay, this guy had good artwork on the walls, but what you see is not the kind of formality that you see in French Art Nouveau, not the kind of hard-edge drama that you see in Bauhaus design. So I'm showing you why this aesthetic would have appealed to a very wide range of people. In fact, it wasn't really very adventurous. It wasn't what was around in terms of 18th century copies, but this was not dramatic. This was an even more typical interior. This, I think, I shot out of House Beautiful. Now, this was interesting because this has a Barcelona coffee table. But the rest of it, all of this teak wood. Teak is a very warm wood. This is pretty good, pretty true to color. Teak wood, which is imported, it doesn't come from Scandinavia. It came from, but Singapore is one of the large sources of it, the Middle East, Far East. It's very orange, so it's warm. Rosewood was the more elegant, the darker, richer, more fully grained wood. And both of these were treated with oil finish, a natural finish. You would preserve it with lemon oil. So as I said, it went with being unpretentious.